Dear guests, our program shall begin in 10 minutes. Again, our program shall begin in 10 minutes. Thank you. To our dear guests, our program shall begin in 7 minutes. Kindly settle down. Again, to all our dear guests, our program shall begin in 7 minutes. Kindly settle down. Thank you.
Mas marami din board natin.
Good afternoon, dear guests. Our program shall begin in 5 minutes. Kindly settle down. Again, to all our guests, our program shall begin in 5 minutes. Kindly settle down. Thank you. Good afternoon, dear guests. Our program shall begin in a very short while. Kindly settle down. Again, to all our dear guests, our program shall begin in a short while. Kindly settle down. Thank you.
Good afternoon to everyone joining us here in person and also to those participating via Zoom. We will begin our annual stockholders meeting with an invocation to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
Let us bow our heads as we put ourselves in the presence of our dear Lord. Heavenly Father, we thank you for everyone gathered here today for the 2023 SM Investments Annual Stockholders Meeting. We ask for your blessings and guidance so that the activities set for this undertaking will be successful. We ask you to open our eyes to see the wonderful things from this activity. We ask you to open our ears so that we may retain the invaluable knowledge that we will learn. Open our minds for us to think wisely. Give us understanding, cooperation, and peace in fulfilling our responsibilities. Open our heart so that we may receive your everlasting love. And open our spirit so that we may know that you are with us all throughout the day. All these we ask in the most holy and mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang
Welcome to the 2023 Annual Stockholders Meeting of SM Investments Corporation. We would like to welcome our Board of Directors present this afternoon. Our Chairman of the Board, Mr. Jose T. Show. Our Vice Chairpersons, Ms. Teresita T.C. and Mr. Henry T.C. Jr. Mr. Harley T.C., Executive Director. Ms. Tomasa H. Lapana, Lead Independent Director. Mr. Robert G. Vergara, Independent Director. Mr. Ramon M. Lopez, Independent Director. And lastly, our President, Mr. Frederick C. Dabuncio. Also with us is our Corporate Secretary, Attorney Elmer B. Serrano, our Assistant Corporate Secretary and SVP for Legal, Attorney Arthur A. C., and our SVP for Finance, Mr. Franklin C. Gomez. We would also like to acknowledge the presence of the advisors to the board, Ms. Elizabeth T.C., Mr. Hans T.C., Mr. Herbert T.C., Mr. Gregory L. Domingo, and Mr. Roberto G. Manabat. I now turn over the meeting to our chairman, Mr. Jose T. Show.
Good afternoon to all our shareholders who are present and those attending online. Welcome to the 2023 Annual Stockholder Meeting of SM Investment Corporation. We are pleased to see you again this year, especially those present in our beautiful SMX convention. Ladies and gentlemen, the annual stockholder of SM Investment Corporation is now called to order. Mr. Secretary, before we proceed, please certify that the posting and publication of notices and existing of quorum.
Yes, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon to everyone. In compliance with the rules issued by the Securities and Exchange Commission, I certify that notice of this meeting, the definitive information statement, along with the company's guidelines for registering, participating via remote communication and in person, and voting in absentia, were uploaded via PSE Edge and posted on the company's website. In addition, the notice of this meeting was published on March 27 and 28, 2023, both in print and online format, in the business section of the Manila Times and the Business World. Mr. Chair, stockholders who have registered and are participating in this meeting, personally and by proxy, represent 1,064,737,807 common shares, constituting 87.13% of the total outstanding capital stock of the company as of record date March 27, 2023. I therefore certify that we have a quorum for this meeting. We would also like to inform the stockholders that CSIP Gores Velayo & Company, or SGV, has been engaged as a third-party tabulator of votes cast at today's meeting. Finally, we'd like to inform our stockholders and our other participants that this meeting is being recorded and that, for good order, we will be having our open forum at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. The next agenda is the approval of the minutes of the last annual stockholder meeting held last year. Mr. Secretary, were copies of the minutes provided to all the stockholders?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Copies of the minutes of the stockholders meeting held on April 27, 2022 were posted on the company's website soon after its adjournment last year. Copies of the minutes were also appended to the definitive information statement posted on the PSC Edge and the company's website. The minutes reflect the proceedings of the last annual meeting, including resolutions adopted and approved with a corresponding tabulation of votes for each item, then for approval.
Thank you. The minutes of the last meeting of the stockholders are being presented for approval. Mr. Secretary, do you have the result of the voting?
Yes, Mr. Chair. For the record, unqualified votes cast for each item for approval at today's meeting shall be counted in favor of the matter under consideration. Based on the tabulation of votes, stockholders owning 1,064,594,912 common shares, representing 99.99% of the total number of shares represented at this meeting, voted in favor of approval of the minutes.
Thank you. The motion is carried and the minutes are approved. Mr. Secretary, please ensure that the minutes of today's meeting reflect the tabulation of votes for all the agenda items requiring stockholders' approval.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of the 2022 annual financial statement of SM Investment Corporation. May I request our President, Mr. Frederick Dibuncio, to present the annual report.
Good afternoon, our dear shareholders. Allow me to welcome you to the SMX Convention Center as we resume our stockholders meeting in person after 3 years of virtual meetings. 2022 has been an exceptional year for us. Let me share with you our milestones for the past year. 2022 was a year of remarkable growth, sustained benefits to our communities, impact towards our key advocacies, and record results. Philippine GDP grew by 7.6%, remittances by overseas Filipino workers grew by 3.6%, and unemployment fell to 4.3%. All of this created an environment of economic activity, active growth, and strong consumer confidence. We were conscious of inflationary risks and adapted our business operations and customer offerings accordingly. As a result, all our businesses participated in the reopening of the economy and delivered good growth. Our strong financial performance last year was driven by all three core businesses: retailing, banking, and property, as well as significant contribution to our consolidated earnings by our portfolio investments. Banking contributed 45% to net income, with property accounting for 23%, retail contributing 21%, and portfolio investments the remaining 11%. We were also able to improve operating margins across our businesses due to the rigorous review of efficiencies and cost-saving actions taken over the last 2 years. Overall, SM grew consolidated revenues by 28% to 554 billion pesos and earnings by 53% to 62 billion in 2022. This exceeded pre-pandemic performance. We also continued to build our asset base and maintain a conservative balance sheet. Our total assets increased 9% to 1.5 trillion pesos, and our gearing improved to 35% net debt to 65% total equity. Our banks started the year from a position of strength, having already recovered from the pandemic in 2021. In 2022, they showed revenue growth across their core activities with lower non-performing loans and provided for, and strong balance sheets in place. BDO's non-performing loan ratio dipped to 1.95%, while NPL coverage strengthened to 167%. Rising interest rates help improve margins, and positive business sentiment helped deliver profit growth. BDO's net income increased by 33% to 57.1 billion, driven by robust growth across its core businesses. Gross customer loans went up by 9% year-on-year on broad-based growth due to the economic reopening. Total deposits and net interest income both grew by 14%. China Bank also posted better than expected financial results on the back of robust operating income and effective cost management. Consolidated net income grew by 27% to 19.1 billion, while total revenues increased by 14% to 55.7 billion, driven by the 17% jump in net interest income to 45.6 billion pesos. Its net loans rose by 15% on brisk business and consumer lending. It recorded better than industry NPL ratio and NPL coverage ratio of 2.3% and 123% respectively. Total deposits also reached 1.1 trillion pesos, 24% higher on sustained growth across deposit products. Normalized movement and social activity resumed from the second quarter onwards and resulted in strong growth in our retailing businesses, particularly in our non-food formats. There was pent-up revenge spending as consumers resumed shopping and going out. This sustained spending benefited our wide portfolio of brands as customers returned to higher earnings and daily social activity. As a result, SM Retail grew revenues by 24% to 378.2 billion pesos. Net income increased 86% to 17.9 billion. This optimism in the economy also enabled our malls to return to full rental arrangements with their tenants by mid-year. Our property arm, SM Prime, delivered strong growth with high tenant occupancy and foot traffic above pre-pandemic levels. SM Prime Holdings reported growth of 38% in consolidated net income to 30.1 billion and an increase in consolidated revenues by 29% to 105.8 billion pesos. Philippine mall business revenues more than doubled to 49.8 billion. With the resumption of full rental fees in the second half of 2022, SM Prime's local mall rental income grew 92% to 44.1 billion. SM Prime's residential arm, led by SM Development Corp, reported 40.1 billion in revenues, while its reservation sales slightly grew to 102 billion. SM Prime's office, hotel, and convention center businesses also grew 59% in revenues to 10.5 billion with the resumption in tourism activities. We have also invested in several related businesses in recent years, identifying where we can add value to our partners from synergies within the SM ecosystem. This is a part of our strategy to participate in emerging high-growth sectors and create market leaders in them. In 2022, we increased our involvement in the logistics sector, bringing our stake in Airspeed to 51%. We also hiked our stake in geothermal steam for renewable energy generation, acquiring 100% of Philippine Geothermal Production Company. Meanwhile, ToGo, our end-to-end logistics partner, delivered turnaround profits last year, and our other partner businesses continue to innovate and grow as well. We are particularly optimistic about these opportunities. Our portfolio investments collectively contributed 11% of consolidated earnings last year, and we expect this to increase over time. At the same time, we were able to focus on our long-term strategy of expanding our footprint nationwide. We opened new stores, malls, residences, and bank branches, allowing us to reach and serve more Filipinos. Seeing economic growth strengthening the provinces, we opened new malls and retail stores in Roxas, Tanza, Sorsogon, and Tuguegarao last year. Our expansion efforts resulted in the addition of 348 new retail stores, with especially strong expansion of over 200 new stores by Alphamart, 300,000 square meters of mall floor area, and over 100 new bank branches. Most of this new footprint was outside Metro Manila last year. As we grow, we work to create and share value with our partners and our communities. Last year, we carried on with our key social advocacies. We provided access to food security through farmers training, quality education through our school building and scholar programs, and healthcare through our facilities building and medical missions. SM Supermalls was also the biggest private sector partner of the government to vaccinate Filipinos in the country. It administered more than 10.5 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines nationwide by the end of 2022, using its nationwide mall network as vaccination centers. We also continue to champion inclusive societies. Within our own workplace, we recently appointed our first group diversity officer to develop and ensure a group-wide approach in promoting diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging among our people. This mirrors the same inclusivity we offer to our customers and other stakeholders. Among our environmental advocacies, we partnered with WWF to host a conference for private and public sector action towards climate change last year, and to launch a private sector climate alliance. The Philippines' unique exposure as one of the most at-risk countries to climate change calls for concerted efforts. This is both towards reducing emissions and towards critical adaptation efforts, where SM remains a leading advocate. We took action on both fronts. SM Investments published its climate position this year as a part of its commitment under TCFD, the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures. The group made a number of moves towards using, funding, and driving renewable energy growth in the Philippines. Among this, SM Prime notably achieved at least 50% of its energy use coming from renewable sources last year. BDO continues to be a leader in funding the development of renewable energy, a national priority with a portfolio of 58 projects being funded. BDO also issued the first private sector blue bond in Southeast Asia, providing funding for projects to preserve clean water resources, help prevent marine pollution, and support the country's climate goals. Retail, meanwhile, is working towards consumer awareness and advocacy of green choices through the launch of the Green Finds program. We also continue to plant trees. We have so far planted and nurtured over 2.6 million trees through SM Foundation, Bell, Hamilo Coast, and Carmen Copper. Last year, we launched our Grow Trees community through SM Foundation, working with our partner, Fast Retailing Foundation. This program focuses on the development of long-term reforestation by involving an ecosystem of partners to care for the trees especially after they are planted as seedlings. It was also gratifying to be recognized by leading awards bodies for our efforts in a number of these areas. I am particularly proud that SM Investments was top-rated by Sustainalytics ESG rating agency in 2 categories last year. Top among diversified financial companies globally, and top among all companies in Asia Pacific. Forbes magazine included SM among its world's best employers. Meanwhile, 6 companies within the group were highly recognized by the ASEAN Corporate Governance Scorecard Awards. We remain committed to advancing the principles of the UN Global Compact and taking action towards delivering the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Heading in 2023, we remain optimistic as a group. We are focused on expansion around the country, especially in emerging regional centers, and on ensuring that our ecosystem of businesses work to create shared value for all our stakeholders. The majority of our expansion is focused on the regions outside of Metro Manila. This is spurred by improvement in employment and the increasing quality of education and connectivity in these areas. A large chunk of the OFW remittances the Philippines receives are also going to the provinces, driving revenues and growth. Continued BPO expansion is also providing employment in the regions. BPO revenues are now equal to the OFW remittances in amounts that are estimated to cover at least $30 billion US. There are also companies that are beginning to look at the Philippines on the light manufacturing side. Given this, opportunities for growth in the Philippines remain high. Our businesses are well positioned and have clear strategies to participate in this strong growth. On behalf of the SM Group, I'd like to say thank you to our customers, our people, our partners in both business and in the public sector, and our many stakeholders across the country for continuing to trust in us and support us in our ambitions to grow and help serve our communities nationwide. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. The 2022 annual report and the audited financial statement of the company are being presented for approval. Mr. Secretary, please announce the result of the voting.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Based on the tally of votes, stockholders owning 1,062,968,310 common shares, representing 99.83% of the total number of shares represented at today's meeting, voted in favor of approval of the 2022 annual report and the 2022 audited financial statements.
Thank you. The 2022 annual report and the 2022 audited financial statement are thereby approved. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a board meeting earlier, and I am pleased to announce that your board has approved the declaration of cash dividends amounting to approximately 9 billion pesos, or the equivalent of about 7.50 per share. Teka muna, hindi pa tapos. This is payable for stockholder of record as of May 11. So, bibili na kayo. Payable on May 25, 2023. The next item on the agenda is the approval and ratification of all the acts of the Board of Directors, Board Committees, and Management from April 27, 2022 to the date of this meeting. A summary of this act is found in the definitive information statement sent to all the shareholders. Mr. Secretary, please announce the voting result.
Yes, Mr. Chair. As tabulated, stockholders owning 1,062,408,715 shares, representing 99.78% of the total number of shares represented at this meeting, voted in favor of approval of and ratification of all acts of the Board of Directors, Board Committees, and Management from April 27, 2022 to the date of today's meeting.
Thank you. The act of the Board Committees, and Management are therefore ratified and approved. The next item on the agenda is the election of the directors of SMIC for the year 2023 to 2024. May we request the Chairman of the Corporate Governance Committee, Mr. Ramon Lopez, to please read the name of the nominees qualified to be elected to the board.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The Corporate Governance Committee has pre-qualified the following nominees for election to the board for 2023 to 2024. They are Mr. Jose T. Sio, Ms. Teresita T. C., Henry T. C. Jr., Mr. Harley T. C., Frederick C. Libuncio, Ms. Tomasa H. Lipana as Independent Director, Mr. Robert G. Vergara as Independent Director, Mr. Ramon M. Lopez as Independent Director. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Mr. Secretary, do you have the voting results?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Flashed on the screen are the votes garnered by each of the nominees. Since there are only 8 nominees, and with the votes that they each have received, all nominees have obtained sufficient votes for election.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Congratulations to the newly elected members of the Board of Directors. We now proceed to the appointment of the current year auditor. The Audit Committee has pre-screened the nomination for the external auditor and recommended the appointment of SGB and Company as the external auditor for 2023. Mr. Secretary, please announce the voting result.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Based on the tally of votes, stockholders owning 1,663,081,788 shares, representing 99.84% of the total number of shares represented at today's meeting, voted in favor of SGB's reappointment as external auditor.
Thank you. SGB is therefore appointed as the external auditor of the company for 2023. I think they are represented here by the chairman of SGB. Please stand up to be recognized. And the audit partners of SGB handling the SM investment, the beautiful auditor. Thank you. We now proceed with the open forum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For good order, the floor will be first opened for people attending in person here with us today. All stockholders of record attending remotely were given the opportunity to send their questions or remarks prior to the meeting by sending an email to asm@sminvestments.com, not later than April 24, 2023. Shareholders were also allowed to send their questions or comments through the chat box to this live stream. For your questions or comments to be entertained, please indicate your full name as it appears in the company's records. We will now proceed to open the floor for any questions or comments from our shareholders attending in person.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. I am Don Bernabe, holding proxy for Desiree Ong. I would like to ask, after such good results last year, what will be the company's strategy to keep growing in 2023 and beyond? Thank you.
Mr. President, could you repeat the question so it's not... Tim,
Yes.
do you understand?
What will be the company's strategy to keep growing in 2023 and beyond?
Yeah, I think 2022 was really a very good year for the entire SM Group, for all of our businesses. And it's partly driven by the reopening of the economy, as we all know. But despite that, and despite the size of our different businesses, we do believe that there's still a lot of opportunities in the Philippines, particularly in the provincial sectors. There's still a lot of underserved Filipinos in the various service areas, and that's going to be something which we're going to be focusing on as a group. All of our businesses are on growth mode, and like I was mentioning earlier, a lot of the expansion plans are geared towards the provincial areas, where that's where we believe the growth opportunities are. And in addition to our three core businesses of retailing, banking, and property, as you know, we've also invested in several portfolio investments, which are really part of the high growth sector in the economy. And we intend to grow that even moving forward to really contribute even more to the group's earnings.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there a question?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. I am Mika Gancayco, holding proxy for Mr. Tony King. My question is, what is SM doing for climate?
What is SM doing for climate change? Mr. President?
Again, as a group, we take sustainability and climate change very seriously. And I'd like to think that we're actually one of the leading advocates for sustainability. In fact, as you know, we recently invested in the renewable space, taking 100% ownership in a Philippine geothermal production company. And that's part of our drive to improve the sustainability of the group. And also last year, at least one of our major businesses, SM Prime, at least more than 50% of their energy requirements already come from the renewable space. In addition to that, we're actually very active in promoting ESG in the Philippines, being part of several different global associations to promote ESG. And like even for SM Prime, I believe about 30% of their capex is really focused on sustainability issues as well.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
It's a very relevant question. Last week, as everybody knows, this is the real time that happened in the Philippines where in Manila, where temperature went up as high as 50. And according to the weather station, the hot summer will still happen sometime next month, which is May. And this is all because of this climate change. Because, as they say, the icebergs, all the ice on the north are melting. So temperature all over the world are getting hot. So that's why SM is also doing something to minimize all this climate change. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Chair, that is all the questions that we have at this time.
Thank you, Tim. Mr. Secretary, is there any other item in the agenda?
No other matter, Mr. Chair.
There being no other item, is there move to adjourn the meeting? Any move to adjourn the meeting? No one?
Move to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
Okay. There being no other matters in the agenda, we can now adjourn this meeting. Thank you and for joining this meeting.
Thank you very much for attending today. Can I please invite members of the covering analyst community or the press to join us for a question and answer session in meeting rooms 4 to 6 around the corner very shortly. Meeting rooms 4 to 6. Thank you very much. Have a good day.